just gonna test to make sure everything kind of did what it was supposed to. Just need to check that. The yellow bar. That's not supposed to be there. Oh, dear. Let's go. Not find supported channels enabled. Cool. I don't know what that means. Is it streaming? It doesn't look like it is. Uh-oh. We're having problems. Oh dear. Hello, everyone in all the different locations. There's a problem with the stream. I don't know what it is, but it says that 0 out of 0 things are connected, and I cannot have that. So we're just looking and seeing what the heck is happening. Because this does not make any sense. Yeah, things are not... Oh, dear. Yeah, there are problems going on. Can I refresh that? No. Okay, well, we might not be able to read chat. That's going to be a bummer. I'm just going to add a thing for that real quick. Okay, well, in case everyone can see this somehow, welcome to the stream, everyone. It's good to see you around. We're playing QP shooting today, which is, you know, cool. Cool. Right. Everything should be set up, but I'm not entirely sure. It says I'm streaming on Twitch, so I'm just going to assume everything's fine. Okay. If your chat doesn't come through, sorry. That's not my fault. I can't do anything about that. Because it says I'm connected to 0 channels. That's obviously not right. Oof. There you go. Let me just update the chat's a bit broken. You know, if I just do something like... Find supported channels enabled. That's dumb. It's all dumb. I don't understand. What's going on? Nothing's working. Ugh. think we've got it. I think it's fixed. I think we're good. Cool. Now I just gotta figure out how to get my camera back and we can all be good. A lot of problems going on today. Just as I'm about to click stream, it blue screens on me, which isn't even the first time it's blue screened on me today for no reason. So we're just gonna try to fix all this. See if we can't maybe make everything function normally again. Boop that. Can we boop that? And then snap USB. Hey! There it is. Great. Oh, that's not stopping. I want that. Yes. Tilt it up a bit. And ta-da! My ugly mug. Hey guys, Neon Boy here. Welcome to the stream. I don't know if chat's going to continue to function correctly, so let's just keep that to itself. But should be fine for all intents and purposes. We're playing QP shooting, which I've played about 5 seconds of it just to see what it felt like, and I like it so far. Okay, I haven't even beaten the first boss yet. It's not because I died. No, certainly not. Definitely not. No. What are you talking about? I didn't die. I mastered this game. But I didn't play any of it. I mean, I played some of it, but... Okay, let me just stop before I, dig myself too deep in a joke hole. I'm gonna go easy, just because. That was what I played there. Boy. There. I don't know what any of this means, so we're just gonna go. I have to use the D-pad? Why? I grabbed the controller so I wouldn't have to use the D-pad. Oh gosh. Okay, it'll be fine. It's fine. Sugar-loop. I have no idea what's going on here. I haven't played the first one because it's apparently all in Japanese and isn't available on Steam, so I don't know about how to play it, so. God, I wish I could use my stinking controller thing. Like, why did I call it my controller thing? It is a controller. Jesus. I'm sustaining I've been sustained from injury. I can't talk. I'm not actually injured. I'm making a joke. Why can't I actually do things? Ow, I got hit. What hit me? I actually didn't see what hit me. Usually I'm perceptive as to what hits me. Whatever. Oh, here comes the story. There's a story here, but I'm not sure they explain it very well. I had to, you know. There's no pudding anywhere in sight. In fact, no one even seems to know what it is. What the heck is going on? I mustn't hesitate. I mustn't hesitate, even now. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Hello? Is there anyone out there that knows of pudding? Anyone? Pudding! Ah! Someone! Anyone? Just being stupid. You idiot. Oh, who's this person? I only know of people from 100% orange juice. And if you've stuck around here for a while, you know I play a lot of that. So I know she likes pudding. And will be willing to destroy the world just to keep it. I'm not going to pronounce the name. I don't want to upset anyone. Wait, are there even going to be any QP shooting fans here? I did say it's QP shooting, so I guess if you guys are looking for it. My dearest friend! Ex-friend, if you keep acting like that. How cruel. You're the cruel one. Your words cut like a knife in my heart. You're too noisy this morning. Deadline is looming and we're already at the gates of death. And as usual, we're going to be stuck in the Indie Games group. Never mind that. It's now I'm here. I'm here because there's sweat getting in my eyes. Ugh. I'm sweating. I don't like it. Do you remember pudding? Huh? There are people who don't know of it? Oh, you remember? Yeah, it's that small fry enemy in F, right? It's common sense to a gamer. God. Okay, this is annoying. Why is there sweat in my eyes? I just started this. There's no reason for me to be sweating right now. Whoa, what did I just do? All the little bunnies went to the back of me. Okay, that's not it. Huh? Sweet, soft, and delicious. It's the ultimate of sweets? What are you going on about? So you don't remember after all. We even shared my pudding once because we were friends. What are you? So it's come to this, hasn't it? I'll just have to beat some sense into you. Then you'll have no choice but to remember, oh god, QB, don't you think it's a little drastic? What? Prepare yourself. So I apparently created some sort of format. I can shoot behind me. Of course I can. Wait, I just did something there. Oh, okay. I'm learning how to play. Uh-oh, I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Ow. Okay. I can get behind this. This is great. Can I restore life? No. Fair enough. Boxes. Why are there boxes? Can I break them? Makes my play area small. Oh, no, I died. Why did I hear myself behind me? That's a... Wait a minute. Let me mute that. That's not needed. I don't need to hear myself behind me. That's dumb. I sound like a atrocious mess. I don't know why anyone likes listening to me. I just ruined all the sound. Just ruined it all. Come on. Oh, wait. There's not supposed to be sound. I'm an idiot. Yeah, it was there all along. No. There's no need. Alright, let's see if we can set up these controls for analog input. Yeah. Nope. Formation. Oh. This will be good. So boop, boop, and boop. Cool. Alright. Let's do it. There we go, it's worked. Okay. Oh, okay. What? This in the back performs a strong attack to the rear. Okay. Why not? Let's do it. Okay. I thought I could. Okay. Okay. Let's just try to kill that thing real fast. Okay, well, I forgot apparently why I needed a backwards facing attack. That's fine. Ow! I let myself get hit so stupidly! No pudding, what the? Hey, hello, anyone, pudding. Oh god, I'm stupid. No, I'm not. You, yeah, no, I don't. Oh, come on. Well, I guess we have to find a reason to fight. Huh? What? You're stupid for thinking that. Yeah, I am. Damn it, we're gonna do it anyway, aren't we? Yep. Am I gonna die again? Yep. That's pretty much this conversation in a nutshell. I almost just screwed myself right then. Keep checking over at chat, it's messing me up. I'm not blaming blaming you guys. But I'm blaming you guys. Oh, I thought I did bad. Let me just do that. Hyper finish. Action break. Aggressive QP. You're good. It's Payet's turn now. Powers go beyond hell itself. Allow me to demonstrate. Well, that sounds great. That sounds absolutely wonderful. Oh, great. What is even happening? Why? Why is it happening? Ouch! Didn't notice. No, I wasn't looking. Okay, let me do something real quick. Let me look at something. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Just controller. Maybe. Oh, great. I have to modify it. Okay. Cool. Boop, boop, boop. Gamepad. Is it frozen? No, I don't need to load a config file. I just did. Okay. Sweet. So now, we can go and do something like this. There. Let's try it again. No. There's no reason. Oh, boy! Let's do it! Still think that as long as I'm not an idiot, I can do this. So I've noticed that not a lot of people have been sending things in chat, and that makes me worry that the chat's still broken. Hence the chat is buggy thing down there. Apparently I need to set RB to stinking change formation, because I keep hitting RB to do that. close. Yeah, you just keep rolling on by. Can we skip this part? Skip. Ow! I did not hit that far left. It's because I'm not using analog. I'm actually just using freaking 4 input. It's like it's not even worth it. I thought I did it bad there again. I'm just watching, not really sure what to type thus far, but good job so far. Okay. Had me worried there. Because I started the stream with so many problems. I couldn't even play the game because everything was just breaking and falling apart. So that's good to know that chat's working. Thanks for the confirmation on that one. Alright, let's get this show on the road. I guess it's just like a bus. Just 3 phases. Oh, whoa! That was what I'd like to call not cool. Die already! Ooh, that's a tricky situation! Oh, I'm trapped in a frickin' corner. Die! Please! Uh-oh, uh-oh, bad situation, bad situation! Okay! Never putting now. What? I guess not. I guess that's the whole plot, is just no pudding. Oh, we're on level 2. Cool. Okay, we've gone from killing chickens to killing crows. Cool. Hope there are no Ruby fans in chat tonight, because we're killing crow. Can we... I'm not sure if that's going to damage me or not, so I'm just going to stay the hell away from it. Caution? Oh. Flying butterflies. I apologize heavily. Ah. I would very much love to get around here. What? I got hit! Where? Uh-oh. Oh my god, I made it through. Ow! I didn't. Why did I speak? Uh-oh, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. I'm trapped! Help me! I'm dead. That was just a hairy situation. I probably had my thing, didn't I? Yep, no thanks. Whoa, 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 what? Nuh-uh. Oh, I wasn't saving my progress. Ugh. Screw this. Okay. Okay. And how does this help me? Just keep going. Alright, none of that happened. Let's keep going. Am I faster? I feel like I am.
we've seen the story before. Seen the story multiple times. And I'm gonna have to do this boss again, because I was playing it on safe mode, like a doof. So let's do it. Should be fun. Wait. Now you're getting audio, right? That's weird. It was showing you guys getting no audio. That's weird. Okay. 2 hearts. Let's not be careless with them now. Alright, now for the part I really don't like. At least I have 100 charge for this one, so it should be good. Alright, we almost got it. There! Oh, this is actually saving stage progress. I almost said no to that! That would have been embarrassing!
Ooh, extra heart. Don't mind if I do.
Oh, shoot! Okay, look, you go forward very subtly in this one. It's like you move forward faster than things move backward. Also, I'd like to know is I didn't take a point of damage when I was going through that last boss. That made me happy. Yee. Ow! Oh, I'm not gonna make it anywhere if I keep making mistakes like that. So much going on the screen at once. I can't see it! So much going on! What was all that about? Pudding is gone, even from the memories of everyone in existence. What in the world is going on? Oh, what the heck are you doing here? Disguised as a woman. Excuse me? Disguised as a woman? Oh, please, we're both men here, and that's a fact. Okay, people keep thinking that QP is a guy, and that's the joke. Admit it, crossdresser. You're mistaken, and rudely at that. Oh, how deplorable. Someone like you, but they're dressed like a girl. What trash you've become. Nah, I already don't like this character. Trash? There'll be flowers and muddy water. Spray of brutality. Listen to me. Get it all right now. Stop looking like this. Wow. Yeah, okay. He deserves to get blasted. It's a misunderstanding. Besides, I transcended you. I'm a girl of absolute beauty. Yeah, you tell him. I was already angry. Surely you could hear my lamenting over pudding, but it's come to this. You won't stop looking like this, and I'll just have to stop you myself. Oh yeah? Tell that to my cute bunny rabbit army. All I gotta do is do this without getting hit. Yay! This'll be great! I don't like it. I don't like it. Help me. Come on, hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh, thank goodness! Oh, I don't like that! Flower lasers, why? Who thought of this? Who needs flower lasers? Kind of... Yee. Ooh. You stop it. Just stop it. Not good. Bad. Stop. This calls for a good distraction. Oh boy. Of course, rip your shirt off. Yep, that's... I mean, okay. Okay, but when the distraction proved that QP is a idol. Oh, I got hit! Okay. Try it again. What? You can't change these settings now. Okay. Fine. It's not like I wanted to change it or anything. I thought a rear attack would do me good. Sorry. I was compelled to. Oh, I wasn't looking! Why wasn't I looking? There's so much on the frickin' screen! Help me! Let me just try to take care of this guy as fast as possible. Or, I guess just tree. We're already on the subject of misgendering and transgender and stinking. When did this game turn into that? Why did this game turn into that? I don't want a controversial topic on my channel. No, stop. Bad. Don't hit me. Don't do it. It's not good. Don't be a bad. Oh, I hit myself. I don't need you guys to hit me. I can do it all by myself. God, I'm starting off with one heart. And this isn't even the part that got me tripped up last time. Just kill you all right. Kill as many things as possible. Look where I'm going! Jesus Christ! I got shite! Oh. Okay, now's a good time as any. I can't see anything! Did I do it? I think I did it. Okay!
I'm sweaty and crud, but I made it. Where's the bottle? Oh, it's all the way over there. I'll be back. Gotta get the water. Okay. Okay, and then I'm just gonna tug on that, because that's obviously gonna work. Okay. Ugh. Oh, right, I probably got the only actual thing. Boop 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 okay, we're here. Right. No hit run, let's do it. I'm gonna screw it up this time because I did it flawlessly, not flawlessly, but up to a certain point I did good. It would help if there was analog support. Oh, it would help so much if there was analog support. Oh.
Okay. Cool. Flower lasers, right. Flower lasers are the best. Alright, let's get... This is not a good situation. Oh god. Just die already. Okay. Yeah, do your distraction. Yeah! Thank you! Oh, this makes things so much better. Extra hard. Frickin' finally. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh god. Oh, I didn't realize I was that close! Whew. What a rush! Neat. Got stronger, Kariba. I'll just set that aside for the moment. All I'm really worried about is pudding. Pudding, he said. Do you know about it? Nope. This morning I saw a woman going around yelling about it. I was suspicious. I'm so wary of this person. I didn't want to make eye contact with her, so I'm not sure, but I think she's heading towards the town circus. Clue, get! Thanks a lot. Leaving me behind. Yes. If this were 100% orange juice, you'd become one of the characters we could play as. Since it is not, cool. Keep going. Definitely. No. Oh, this sounds like a mere circus. Oh, sweet, rockets! It's freaking what's her name here with sticking red barrel? Oh, you stay away. Don't stay away from me. Of course. Stop with the suggestive cannon. Wow! I didn't expect that. I like how all the projectiles explode if you defeat the thing it came from. That is very, very welcome. No, don't hit me, Ah, yeah. Wait, I didn't count? Did that not count? Man, this hyper mode thing is amazing. No wonder it's such an OP move in freaking 100% orange juice. I still gotta stay on my toes. What am I doing? You get like dozen. Thank you. Warning. Oh no. Master Hand and Crazy Hand, along with Master and Crazy Hat. hell away from me! Yeet! Hurry up and die! Okay. Onwards we go, like that didn't happen. I got no hearts. Great. I would enjoy it if I could possibly not die here. I'm pretty sure there's people inside that carriage. I just destroyed it. Like, there could have just been innocent lives in there. But what did I kill it for? Why does this game want me to kill it? Oh. No, don't want to save replay. Alright, so what do you mean learn new formations? Like, more of those things? I saw this earlier. Oh, and I can't fly any of these. Because they have a wide attack range, power distributed over wide areas, so it shouldn't be relied on too heavy. Man, I would have liked to have some of these things. Transfer your R points from QB shooting 1. I don't have that one. It literally does not exist on... Does it exist on Steam? I thought it didn't. What was my voice saying? What was my voice saying? This is the content you signed up for, right? Just me screaming and sweating everywhere? Jesus. Hold on. Reopen the window. It's hot. Oh, hell in here. Hang on. Just trying to open. Yeah, that's good enough. Injured my hip with that one, but that's cool. No, we don't need to worry about it. Someone ping me on Discord. Why? Who pinged me and why? Who would have done such a thing? I can't believe you've done this. So, how y'all doing? Everything sounding good? Everything looking alright? Oh, this is like an easily stinking modifiable song. Sounds looks fun. That's good. That's good. I definitely want it to be looking good. Is it kind of choppy at all? Like, because it's choppy. It's. I'm also going to stream this to YouTube, or not YouTube. I'm going to stream it to YouTube. I mean Discord. Okay. Man, that's cool. Oh, now encoding overloaded. Okay. Fine, I'll quit out of Discord. All I wanted to do was just have a little bit of fun. Okay. Well, I wanna change! Ah! Okay. Do it. Doesn't look too choppy. Sweet. That's what I like to see. save replay. Also, I shouldn't take it back. Is there an option to change that? No way to stop it from sending you to the main menu every time. Sweet. No, that's fine. Okay, let's do it again. Now, this is just like when I was playing music. I start off doing alright, then I do better, and then I start failing left and right as if I've never touched a musical instrument in my life. And then I do good again. Well, I'm gonna need to switch to this. See, it's already happening again. Oh yeah, I didn't want an extra heart. No, more of those guys. Eee! I wish it was analog. You can all stop that. Eat. Okay. I thought it started taking a weird pattern. I'm like, oh god! Oh my god! Yes, don't mess with me. Ha! Suckers. Do the hands? Okay, I've got no. Hands do not hurt me. Oh. Yee. Okay. Tonight, please get out of this alive. Thank you. Eep. Ow! Shit. Porcupine mode, go! I'm just skirt on past. Alright. Mr. Magician, Master Hand, Crazy Hands, Dapper Hat. Let's call it Dapper Hat. I don't like the situation. Sorry, I don't like it. Let's focus all power on Hey, I've just got deja vu! No, don't say replay. I don't need a replay, I got you guys. So I've been thinking about editing some of my streams, but then I realized I don't like editing my streams. So there was a large period of time where I was just working on editing that one Sonic Kart stream. But it didn't work out. I don't know why I brought that up. Whoa, hey, hello there. I forgot again! How do I forget these things so fast? Okay. Cool. Die. I got hit! Why am I always gonna get hit? Hey guys, look, I did something differently.
I died faster.
If I save replay, does it just restart me easy? No. I've just got a replay of my failure now. Okay. Ugh. Do it. In a second, I'm probably gonna look up like analog support for this game, see if I can at least find a way to put it in. Like, I know this game isn't the most well-known game in the universe, but there's gotta. Oh, I got hit. This one's not even worth it. I already got hit. Okay, hang on. I'm looking in my browser. QB shooting dangerous in port. I spelled analog so wrong that even Google isn't helping me. I just wish you could sink in. I'm sorry. Hold on, let me show you, where is it? Display capture, yeah. Just called one. Alright. Actually, is it? It's taking up too much of the screen. Alright. I'm trying to look this up here. I'm never going to search in these things. It's like I gotta type an abstract sentence for Google.
anaconda the path.
What?
Save the mountain for later. I don't know what that even means. Save Oh, it's a python distribution. Okay. Add an log. I got in my mind what I want. I want something that turns the analogness of a controller into a digital four-way input by means of the more it's pushed to one side, like, it just taps it and taps it and taps it and taps it. No, that's not what I mean. I don't understand. But whatever. We'll just keep going with it. We'll roll the... see what happens. I don't know how many times I'm going to forget that. Alright, whatever I do... I was just about to say, whatever I do, don't get hit. Does anyone want to tell me what I just did wrong? That's right, I got hit! Yes, more Arbits, as they're called, I guess. Because I need a drink. I'm already losing my touch, and I'm only an hour and 15 minutes into the whole thing. Damn. Okay. I think it's the heat. I'm going to blame the heat on every single problem that I have at this current moment. And because of this, I'm going to get my air conditioner so that when I continue to fail, I cannot blame the heat any longer. Be right back.
You gonna pull your thing out a little bit?
Pull my thing out. What?
Okay. The power strip.
Oh yeah, power strip, yeah. Get it. If I we unplugged the power strip.
You're gonna have to pull the thing out.
I love how this is all on stream. Nothing wrong here. Nah. It's alright. I think I'm kicking you.
That's good from there? Good from there?
Yep. Unless you want to play this for me. Like, you can give it a shot if you want. It's basically Galaga, but more intense. Nope! Jesus, I'm gonna trip over all my wires. This is good quality content, right, guys? This is what y'all signed up for. You plugging in my air conditioner? Yeah, this is what you signed up for. Good quality content. I'm gonna check on something. Okay. Alright, point my camera down. Alright. Be good. Where'd my control? There it is. Yeah, no. Let's do it. Why this is Meta Runner? Now sorry. Actually, no, that'd be very bad. All this hectic stuff going on, yeah, no, that would not end well. No. That's a bad start. Music's good at least. Playing chicken with chickens. I guess they're doves, but chicken. Damn, I'm doing worse. We need to like not. QP shooting, dangerous, 0 out of 10. Terrible. No. Oh, God. My brain hurts. I might switch over what I'm playing. Oh, no. I'm probably gonna switch. Let me boot up Discord and see if anyone wants to do a collab. I just feel like I'm funnier with a group anyway. the content. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Coding overloaded, really? I'm hardly doing anything. What do you mean encoding overloaded? Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, might have broken things. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Test. Alright. Sec. I'm working to do a thing real quick. New outputs. And if I do chat, copy, paste. Cool. Alright, we're quitting out of that one. Because I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do now. Someone has pinged me. Anyone have any suggestions for what they would want me to stream? Because right now I'm just sort of. Someone's calling me. Oh, this is actually someone I want to talk to. Can't believe it. Okay, I'm sorry. Alright, I'm back. Any suggestions? I would love suggestions. Might have an idea. Maybe. Who keeps texting me? Something is making a noise several times. Okay. This person I'm texting, I didn't realize they were watching the stream, so I kept thinking. Okay. Okay. Well, I got a suggestion for space engineers. I've heard it's a very high graphically intense game. So I don't know if my computer's going to be able to run it. But I'm going to look it up real quick. If I could just move that. See. Oh. Okay, yeah, just it won't show anything now. Who needs to see it, right? Who needs to see? Please. Space engine, $20. Ooh, that's a lot of money. Well, that's a bit of Oh yeah, by the way, if anyone's watching on Facebook, it does not appear that Facebook chat comes over here for some reason. It'll stream to it fine, but I can't read chat. Recommended. Core i7 or AMD equivalent, 16 gigs of RAM. Hold on. Oh, my hard drive's doing the thing where it keeps failing again. Oh, I hate that. Coding overloaded. Oh no, that's a bad sign. Okay. Let's see. It wants a quad-core i7. I have 4-core i7 at 4.5 gig. I have 3.5. I hope that's not going to be too much of a problem. Well, yeah, yeah. It seems like I will fit the minimum requirements for this. Right? Where's my RAM? Physical RAM, 16 gig. Yeah. So I fit the memory requirement. Graphics, though. Graphics is going to be a problem. Because I don't have a graphics card installed. I only got the one in my motherboard. This is in the way. Let me get that up. Other resources. Where do I find this thing? So I'm used to sticking find the information about my freaking display, maybe? I'm sorry, everyone in chat. I'm just trying to. Right. No, I want. Devices and printers. No, wait. Device manager. What am I doing? Test. Whoever tested, you tested positive. I don't know. Let's see here. I'm just looking. I shared this part, but it has a bunch of information on my computer. So, HD graphics. Worries me is that I think that's. I got Intel HD graphics 4600. I don't know if that's below the minimum or not. This worries me immensely. It was what graphics card? Okay. It's Intel HD graphics 4600. Yeah, I don't have. It's basically screwed into the motherboard. That's the one that comes with it. Here we go. If I just do that, there we go. Sweet. Okay, you're using onboard motherboard graphics, not dedicated. Yes, I'm very much aware of that. It's because I'm broke and I cannot afford a graphics card. I wish it wouldn't even get past the loading screen. I was like, okay, good thing I didn't spend $20 on that. Thanks. With games that I hear are more graphically intense than others, I always worry about whether it's going to work or not. Well, that's unfortunate, but that's fine. I mean, I've got games. What else do I got? Okay, anyone in chat, do you play Ultimate Chicken Horse? Because I've been itching to play this game. Streaming games to your PC from a cloud server? I haven't done it in a while, but I think it's so. Yeah, there is a way to do that using Parsec, but I have to rent a computer, which costs money, and there's probably some other way, but I don't know of it. Maybe there's a free way to do that.
Parsec. Yeah, it's a program that basically lets you like connect to another. It's basically TeamViewer but optimized for gaming. So it's really handy if you like want to play like 4-player Mario Party on somebody else's computer. Like like Mario Party 3 and stuff like that. And to rent a cloud computer. The best price I can find is 50 cents an hour, which is incredibly better than my computer now. It's probably a really good deal, but I really, really, really do not want to. The problem is, if I could just take the graphics card off my laptop somehow, I'd be fine. I don't think it'll work with my computer, but if I found a way to make it work, it would be fine. Almost everything on my laptop is better than on my computer. I don't understand how that works. I don't even know what to look up on Chrome for this. I'm yet to play Borderlands 2, but I don't really want to do that in the middle of another stream. I kind of want to. Why is OBS? OBS just did a break. Why did it do that? Oh, it's because my hard drive failed for a second. Cool. No, that's fine. Oh, I can deal with that. Nothing big. Hang on. Isn't there something in Parsec called paper space? Yeah, there's something in Parsec called paper space. Oh. I love it just sitting here. Just, boring old stuff. I'm not being exciting at all. So I gotta. Yikes. There's no free option. I get a Linux Borderlands template? Oh, that's more expensive. Sweet. Parsec. There's Parsec again. If I had money, I would love doing that. Cost less for a different server? No. If I had money, I'd be able to, but I don't have a whole lot. Plus, if I accidentally leave it running, that's gonna drain me. Right. You know what? You know something I've almost never done? No, I don't think I've ever played Sonic Mania on stream. I was just playing it for leisure the other day. Well, why don't I ever play it on stream? You know what? I wonder if Sonic Mania is a game I could just easily select from this menu. No, it's not. They have a menu that lets you change everything, but... It's just... Next week, I'll probably either play, Borderlands 2 or more QP, shooting. Don't know. So let's change it. That. Change game to Sonic. Yeah. You like has something for Sonic Mania Plus. Okay. Alright. We're going to see how this goes. You know what? I might even look up some mods just to be cool. So that's what all the kids like, right? They like making things different than they're not supposed to be. I would know. I'm a cool kid too. Now if I open the mod manager.
mess it up. Let's just start it out. Play a little bit of Green Hill Zone. Sweet. It's a bit loud. Just so I can kind of get myself back used to it again. Oh, I look so great. Tails. Little. I'm going super. Why not? If I could eat. I was so glad when they changed it so that you couldn't freaking fall down that thing again. That made me happy. Give me that. Supersonic makes things better. Can we make it so that it doesn't, like... Oh boy! Anyone wants seizure mode? Because you got it. Oh boy! Oh! Oh, this is not great. Can anyone tell what's going on? I don't like this. I'm just gonna be the one to point out that I don't like this. Should I play the whole game like this? The answer is no, okay? But, should I? This is trippy. Ah. Oh god. Oh, this is hard to look at. What is even happening? Let's just go into this. Am I not losing rings? I've broken the game so badly I'm not losing rings. So that means I can just... Coal. Come, Tails. Come here. What? Hey! Come back! No! Tails! Ah, Jesus. Ah, Jesus. Oh. Yeah, we could just nope out of that one real quick. let's reopen the Mania manager. See what we got here. Wow, that's big. That's really big. Okay. Try another Emerald Hill zone. See what happens. Because sometimes just these things just crash everything. Like that. That just it crashes. Oof. So I guess that just doesn't work. Big's Big Mania Adventure. I don't actually know. I haven't played that before. I kind of wanted to chroma key the black though. I feel like that would be a cool thing to do. Would be the chroma key the black. Okay. It's what's going on? Okay. Cool. Oh, and then it crashes. Okay. Sure. Carnival Night Zone. Let's try it. Oh god, Sonic looks like a demon! Oh, chroma keying was bad. Bad idea by me. Oh, this is what happens if you don't chroma key correctly. Oh, they look possessed. Let me undo the chroma key. That was my bad. Or perhaps it would be over, I would say the city? There we go. Sweet. Okay. But it. Okay, chroma keying this was a good idea. Wait. I always make this mistake when I'm playing Sonic 3. Tails! Tails! There. Why not? Can't hurt. It's really nothing I want. Okay, cool. attacking me? What did I ever do to the A? I just loved it like it was my child. There. That's what I wanted. Lightning shield. Don't mind if I do. Eee! Damn you! Alright. Get ready for me to mess with the fabric of everything. I always tend to mess with the fabric of everything whenever I do these things. Just fly up and out of the way. And it's all broken. Oh, no, never mind! It worked! Fine. Oh boy. And now it's time to zoom up, or pan up, whatever. Oh. Uh-oh. We've gone and done it again! Where's it taking me? Okay! Sure. Oh, Tails just disappeared. Cool. Tails, you wanna, like, exist for a few months? There we go. Glad you could join us. So we're just running along this road endlessly, it seems. I'm gonna see if I can re-trigger him. Hang on. You there? You up there? Oh, I heard things getting shot. I'm now reading 0 viewers. That's not correct. It's not because I'm cocky or anything. It's because one of those viewers is me back there. And now it's time to screw with everything again. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Where am I? Sure. And of course, I'm just gonna fall from the sky. Oh wow, I didn't need to fly up there. Okay. Oh, hello! Nice meeting you. Fancy meeting you here then. What? Oh, I don't get to be super anymore. Oh. That just changes to the opposite. Okay, so there's no Act 2, I guess. Yeah, no Act 2. That's fine. Let's just see if I can get through it any quicker. Wait, what's the boss of Act 2? Boss of Act 2's the weather thing. I'm just gonna speed through this because I can. And basically be overpowered. That's the good quality content y'all came to see, right? Oh, cool. Guys, I'm inside the wall. Well, this is why I have debug mode. This song. Well, it's Sonic Mania in general. So can we just kill him outright? Before he has a chance to do anything. Yeah, we can. We definitely can. Alright, what else we got? What else we got? We got, Death Egg Zone. Let's try that out. Okay, we're not playing that one. How about Dried Out Encore Hydrosity? That could be interesting. Sega. So it's Encore. Did I not finish this? Jeez. I have selected Stardust Speedway like a doof. Hydrosity. Dried Out Hydrosity. That's so weird. That is strange. Oh my. actually surprising to me. If I didn't have tails, I don't think it was would have been possible. Well, maybe Knuckles. Ow! Let's see what Super Tails is like. I'm Super Ray. I can run on air. There we go. I think Knuckles. Yeah, Knuckles actually has animation for that. Wait, no. Is Eggman still swimming? That's all of a sudden they dance. So that's the excuse for keeping him afloat, huh? I see. There's just a tiny bit of water. Oh, Ray, just freaking. Hang on. I wanna. No, I wanna. Yes, let's rescue Mighty. Seems like a good idea. Mm-hmm. Wait. No, I didn't wanna. What? That. I've broken it. But. Where'd he go? Well, that's a problem. Uh-oh. Oh, God. I've broken it all. This is what I do in my spare time. That was fun.
Oh, that shouldn't matter. I died. Really?
I'm not letting you escape that easy. So that apply to Act 2 as well? Yeah, I think it might. Oh boy. Shit. Not my day. Wish I could do the singing dash. Wow, that's a trippy ass background. Well, good thing I can fly. That. I love how I'm just not in danger of drowning for any reason. Usually this place fills me with a little bit of anxiety. I didn't mess it up, you messed it up. I'm just gonna head in the complete opposite direction of where I'm at. This seems familiar. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's this water again. Sure. But just the whole thing's in water. There's supposed to be, like, no water. Wait. There's no water physics. I forgot, I wasn't allowed to do that. I almost won that by doing nothing, almost. Oops. Might have made a mistake. Oh, now I can do the move. Okay. Okay. Sure. How's this gonna work? You gonna kill yourself? Don't do that. It's not good for you. I should not have done that. Uh-oh. 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 That's not good. I would just like to comment on how I'm literally falling faster and faster to the... Oh, he almost hit it! He almost hit it! I'm just waiting for him to hit it. He's gonna do it eventually. He's gonna realize the only way he can stop this is if he pushes that stinking plunger. You can do it, Ray! You can do it, I believe in you! He's just trying to choose up his... Yeah, he did it! Oh my god. Ray's just looking at him like, ugh. What? I'm in Knuckles? Act 1? Okay. Well, that was great. That was great. Let's see. I got a lot of enjoyment out of that one. What else do we got? Egg Loco Zone. Let's try that one out. Someone keeps texting me on Twitter. 3. Alright, what did I enable? Egg Loco Zone. Sounds like it'd be a Mirage Saloon thing. Alright. Egg Loco Zone, there we go! Cool! Ooh! Curiosity grips me. Nope. Hello? Did that guy stop it? What? you do that? I guess we're just riding along, listening to music, and hoping that thing doesn't eventually catch up to us. Where is he? Oh, whoa, I found him. Intriguing. Never seen a boss follow you through a stage without some sort of meddling I've done before. You can just jump into here and it's done. Yeah, see? Boss gone. Aw, I'm back with Tails. On the plane. Are you re-summoning the boss? Yep. Maybe he wasn't supposed to do that the first time if he's re-summoning him. I should have seen what would happen if there were two bosses. Damn it. Missed my chance. Never mind. No, I didn't. Because I died. Oh, I can't do the thing. Maybe if I... Nope. Let me go back to where he was. Where was he? He was right there. Doesn't feel like something that's supposed to be happening, but I guess it's happening. Where is he? I want him to follow me. Where is he? There he is! Let's see if he'll eventually follow me here. Can I come in? Wow! Okay. Hey, I can do the thing again. Can you follow? Can you catch up, please? You didn't see that. Follow me to the end, my friend. Coming. Coming. What's he doing? He's right there. Man, he's so slow. Let's just go past the gun. You can't? That's a lame-ass excuse. Whoa! Wow, okay. I was not pressing right. go and get this thing again. Ugh. Hello. What? Why didn't he spawn this time? Can you maybe... Yeah. I wish for Christmas that I would stop doing that. So now he's here. He's gonna spawn a second one? I hear the other one's still trying to catch up with me. I want to see if he eventually catches up with me, because that'd be pretty cool. Goodbye, Sonic! I now indirectly control Tails' plane. Sorry. Like it if the other one would catch up with me. I'm gonna check Discord real quick. Just because I can. Coming back to the game. Alright, I'm bored. Where are you? Get over here. Oh my god! There he is! Found him. Christ. Bum 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 ba da da da. Defeat one! Oh, the other one! Da, 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 da. Woo! Did it! That just sends me here, okay. Well, that was cool. Egg Logo Zone, that was fun. What else might we have at our disposal here? Falling with style. I don't know what that is. If I were to make a guess, it would be something that like lets you like in Sonic CD, where like when you bounce on a spring, instead of just constantly twirling in the area, actually like fall to the ground, all nice and neat. Which I kind of like that idea. Hooligans Mania. Take control of the hooligans as they travel far and wide to grab the shiny chaos emotes. Sure. Why not? Sega. I. Interesting. This custom sprite work? Because I love that. gotta see. Did he modify pinball? No, didn't modify pinball. That's fine. That's fine. Super form? No, not super form. Wow, I've never seen this before. I can't even debug my way out of this. Is it enabled? Try again. Yeah, I figured that would happen again. Okay. What other characters we got? What? Oh, that's an extra life monitor. That makes sense. I see. Can he super form? Yeah, he turns into Mighty for a second before running in the air. That's fine. I'm me again. Now I'm Nucleus. And him. Oh, jumping sprites ain't done, but that's pretty cool. It's like, pretty much, I got more than I expected, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, now I'm him. He flies! He actually flies! Sweet! Look at that! That's freaking badass, I love it! Despite the fact that it basically soft locks right then. Da 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 da. I believe I can fly. Freaking sweet. Right, what else do we got? Oh, this one's a classic. I love rings. Let me show you what that is. It replaces a whole bunch of things, or at least adds to it, with Sonic Boom sound clips. So basically, rings. Got it. Bounce pad. Oh, that's rings. This is. Which one's bounce pad? One of them says bounce pad. Must be when you're navigating. There's bounce pad. I'm not an idiot completely. Is this obnoxious yet? I think it's obnoxious. I had to leave, but I have returned. Hello, smokeless potato. You have missed a lot. What am I doing with my life? obnoxious to anyone, is it? No one thinks this is obnoxious. Oh my god. This is how to play Green Hell, okay? Don't let anyone tell you differently. Just do this. It's fine. Let's do platforms. It's all cool. All part of the plan. This is like the sticking like terminal montage Mario 64 Mario. A stream that runs at more than 2 FPS? Yeah, and it's the most obnoxious thing ever. Ba-da-da-da. What am I hearing in the background? Online. Let's keep going and see where this leads. Oh, it doesn't let me. What do you mean? There we go. This is the only way to play Sonic, okay? Wait, what am I? I'm confused. I don't think I did things right. Well, but what am I talking about? Of course I didn't do things right. Ba-da-da. One more ring to rule them all. Yeah. Good job, son. Good job. It's working. Look, it's working. We've probably exhausted that one. Let's see what else we got in here. I'm gonna keep falling with style because that one was great. What else we got? Knuckles Greenhouse Zone 1 path access. Hell yeah. Do it. Sega. Knuckles Greenhill Zone 1 access. Oh, I think I found the access point. Actually, no. Let's not do Supersonic yet. Okay, let's do Supersonic. And since I am Supersonic, I can go through Knuckles section without any problems. we go. It's not as fun when you're just, normal sounding. They should have made an option for Sonic to be able to fly in other stages. I hate that I have to mod the thing just to be able to do that. That takes a lot more out of me than it should. So that was that. That was pretty cool. Let's go do. Did I see something about Yoshi? Oh, I did. Mario and Yoshi. No context, just Mario and Yoshi. That's it. Nothing else. I don't know what that refers to. Okay. Sonic Mania Yoshi's Island. Huh. What is different about this? What? Alright, what else? What else we got? Maybe. Okay, what about Chemical Plant? Is Chemical Plant different? Maybe it's Encore only. No. I'm just more confused than anything else then. Yeah, no, I'm just confused as to what this one does. Well, let's try something else. Now, what did you learn here? No, okay. Mega Man Mania. That's interesting. You mean press any button? I am. Okay. Hmm. Not bad, not bad. Not bad, not bad. You know, I think I will end it here. Usually I'd stay on a little bit longer, but I'm grasping at straws for this one.
So, if you enjoyed, do whatever the heck you do. If you're on Twitch, maybe like subscribe and the stuff. I don't know. There's not much you can do on Twitch until I get, the partner thing, which is going to happen. I don't know what you do on the other platforms, so I guess do the same thing if you enjoyed. And I will see you all later.